Welcome. This is Unconventional Playbook with Lionel Jones. Thanks again for tuning in. Like and subscribe to help grow the channel. I wanted to take some time to spend talking about two phenomenal players that are getting a lot of hate. And I don't understand why we fight greatness so much. I want to talk about Caitlyn Clark, and I want to talk about Anthony Edwards. And instead of giving them so much hate, because there are certain pockets of the population out there, the sports population, that gives them a lot of hate. I think the national media, they don't like mid-market teams like the Timberwolves. They hate to see a player like Anthony Edwards on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Before long, you will see rumors and innuendos that he's going to head to South Beach, or he's going to New York, or he's going to the Lakers. And then Caitlyn Clark, because she receives so much attention, there's a lot of jealousy out there. Caitlyn Clark is just phenomenal. The best women's basketball player that I've ever seen with my eyes. And there's this element out there that says, if you love Caitlyn Clark, you just hate everybody else. And that's not the case. I love Cheryl Swoops. I love Dawn Staley. But I've never seen anything like Caitlyn Clark. She's changing everything about women's basketball. You saw it during their NCAA run with the Iowa Hawkeyes. I mean, who was Iowa before Caitlyn Clark? Yeah, they had a pretty decent basketball program, but she ascended that program. She's just extraordinary. And you're going to see the impact of that program now that she's gone. They're going to go back to being the same Iowa team before she arrived. That's the Caitlyn Clark effect. Why do we fight greatness? There shouldn't be no hate. Caitlyn Clark and Ant should be a love story. You should love them. Embrace greatness. Let me tell you something about Caitlyn Clark and how she impacts the game. Season tickets last year for Iowa Hawkeye basketball games were sold out in August. Women's basketball. Now, keep in mind, the season doesn't start until November, and people were buying up tickets like they were candy, sold out before August. They doubled their attendance last year. You thought the first run was good. They doubled their attendance from the previous year. Let's talk about Caitlyn Clark on the road. They average women's basketball, keep in mind, 13,000 fans when she was on the road at Iowa. Unbelievable. She was Gatorade Player of the Year in high school, played on the U19 national team in the FIBA World Cup games, All-American selection, one of the most accomplished women basketball players there is. In her senior season at Iowa, she managed to score over 1,200 points. When she broke the record, she hit a 35-foot three-pointer. Now, let's put that in perspective. A 35-foot three-pointer. The WNBA three-point line is 22 feet, and the NBA's three-point line is 23 feet. And she couldn't just break the record, but she had to put a little Caitlyn Clark on it, 35-footer. See, there just shouldn't be any hate. This is a love story. She was the first pick in the WNBA draft, and when she was getting drafted and coming out of college, her detractors or her haters, whatever you want to call them, said, well, she's going into a league now where she's going to be playing against grown women. What did she do? Her first preseason game, 21 points, and she barely broke a sweat. See, you can't stop greatness. You can try to put a cap on it. You can try to tie it up. You can try to do anything to vanquish it. But when you're truly great, you're going to rise to the top. Caitlyn Clark is great, and you're going to see that this year. We're going to see if those grown women can stop or handle Caitlyn Clark. See, I coach college women, and so I see different levels of talent every day, whether I'm out on the road recruiting or whether I'm coaching my players in practice. And this is not throwing shade on anybody else. There's been a lot of great players out there that I've seen. There's been a lot of great players that have played in the WNBA, played in the NCAA, played in NAIA, but I've never seen anything like Caitlyn Clark. And why we have to create this narrative that we're treating her special in some way, or we are disrespecting past players. Oh my God. Cheryl Swoops was absolutely fantastic when she played. Dawn Staley, my favorite player and now one of my favorite coaches in the NCAA. Boy, was she fantastic when she played. Lightning fast, had handles, could shoot. Phenomenal player. She wasn't Caitlyn Clark. Embrace the greatness. Stop fighting greatness. Don't hate. It should be a love story. Anthony Edwards, first round draft pick from Georgia. I remember when he came out, and there was a lot of debate on who should go first. Should it be LaMelo or should it be Ant? The Minnesota Timberwolves, rightfully so, chose Anthony Edwards. And not that LaMelo Ball is a bad player, because he's pretty good, but he ain't Ant. And I know that the biggest nightmare in national media is to have a mid-market team like the Minnesota Timberwolves have a phenomenal and a great player like Anthony Edwards. Think about this. Giannis Antetokounmpo for the Milwaukee Bucks started to ascend, and the narrative was, let's get him to New York. Let's get him to La La. Let's get him to South Beach. And Giannis Antetokounmpo said, no, not until I win in Milwaukee. Won a championship in Milwaukee, and they've been trying to get him out ever since. Every narrative that you hear is that he should leave. You haven't heard it yet for the Minnesota Timberwolves, but Timberwolves fans, let me get you ready for this. It's coming for Anthony Edwards. It's coming. Regardless of what happens this year, it's the following years, because this is the transition year. He's gone from being a pretty good player. Now people are comparing him to Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and actually saying that he may be the best player in the NBA. So now the agenda of the national media is going to be to get him out of cold, frigid, mid-market Minnesota. Get ready for it. It's coming. There's a lot of hate that he's in Minnesota. There's a lot of hate that he's playing for a mid-market team. They want to see him on the Lakers. They want to see him in New York. And why New York is this destination? Because they haven't been very good over the years. What's the big deal about New York? Give me a break. They want to see him in Miami. There shouldn't be the national hate for Anthony Edwards, where he geographically plays, what organization he plays for. But I'm telling you, the embers are starting to burn, and you're really going to see it next year. Anytime the Timberwolves fall short, the narrative will be, get him out of Minnesota. There shouldn't be that hate. This is a love story. This is a love story for Anthony Edwards and a love story for Caitlyn Clark. Don't fight greatness. As long as there's breath in my lungs, I'm about to enjoy me some Caitlyn Clark. As long as there's breath in my lungs, I'm about to enjoy me some Anthony Edwards. Wow, is this a great time for basketball? The women's basketball game will never be the same after Caitlyn Clark. She is going to galvanize the league. She is going to introduce new fans to women's basketball. Let's not talk about the ratings. Let's not talk about the women's tournament outshining the men's tournament in terms of ratings. Who did that? Caitlyn Clark. Don't hate. This is a love story. Anthony Edwards and Caitlyn Clark is a love story. You can hate if you want. You can hate if you want, but I'm about to enjoy this. Two phenomenal basketball players that are about to change the league. Like and subscribe. You're a Caitlyn Clark fan or an Anthony Edwards fan? Put your thoughts in the comment. Let's talk. I love comments. I'll answer them. I'll reply. What are your thoughts about Caitlyn Clark and Anthony Edwards? Do you think they're overrated? Do you think they're getting too much pub? I don't think so, but I'd love to hear from you. Like and subscribe. This has been Unconventional Playbook.